Our community trusts are often established at large for the contribution to capital and endowment of the nation for the benefit of the particular community or an area. The other contributions can initially small number of the donors, while the community trust generally has been governed by the representative of the particular community area. The contributions are often received and maintained in form of the separate trust and the funds that are subject to varying degree of the control of the governing body. To qualify a publicly supported organization, community trust must meet the one-third support test explained earlier in the qualifying supported example. If you can't meet the test, it must be organized to operate. If it can't meet the test, if it must organize to operate with such to attract the new additional public governmental support, is base sufficient and to meet the facts, circumstances, tested explained by the community trust are generally able to satisfy the attraction of the public support requirement that is contained by the fact of the circumstances test. If they seek with the gift and request for the wide range of potential zone for the community are served through the banks and trust company, through the attorney, with the other professional person, to the appropriate way for the call of attention for the community trust, the potential recipient gift because made by the benefit of the community are served to our area served the community trust. However, that does not have the engaged a periodic community-wide fundraising campaign directly toward attracting them a large number of the small contributions manner simulated campaigns conducted by the community chefs or united funds. Or separate trust funds, a committee may treat with a single entity with the public support with the purpose of rather than aggregation of support separate funds, in which case to qualify the funds associated with the organization, whether the trust or non-profit, the unincorporated association combination thereof, will be treated in a component part of the organization public support purpose. Single entity. To be treated as a single entity, public support purpose for the community must meet all the following requirements. The organization must commonly known for the common trust of the fund, with the foundation, other similar name, with the conveying of the concept of the capital endorsement, endowment fund to support the charitable activities of the community, the area to serve. All funds organization must be subject to common governing instrument for the master trust agency agreement that may be embodied within a single and several document containing common language. The organization must have the common governing body. The distribution committee, either direct in the case of the founder, the designated specified beneficiary monitors distribution of all funds exclusively charitable in purpose. The governing body must have the power of the governing instrument and the instrument of the transfer of the resolution bylaws of the governing body with a written agreement to otherwise to modify with the restriction condition for the distribution of funds of any separate charitable purpose of the specified organization's sole judgment of the governing body with the necessity for the approval of any participation, trust, and custodian of the or agent restriction of the condition to become in effect unnecessary, incapable of the fulfillment and inconsistent with the charitable needs for the community and are served to replace the participating trustee and custodian agent with the breach of the fiduciary duty under the state law, and C, to replace any participation trustee extra failure to produce the reasonable return of the net income over the responsible period of time. The governing body will determine what is responsible. Alright, therefore, the organization must meet the periodic financial reports treating all the funds that are held by the community trust, either the directly and component parts as found of the organization. Community trust can meet the requirements of 3 above the exercise of the powers in 3A, B, and C review and appropriate state authority. Alright, component part of the treaty for the component part of the community trust rather than is a separate trust of non-profit, the corporation with the public support person. The trust fund must be created with a gift, the bequest, legacy, device, or other transform the community trust the treaty with a single entity described above. May not directly and indirectly subject the transfer any of the material restriction condition will respect the transfer assets. The grantors, the contributors. The grantors and the contributors, distributors of the community trust may rely on the public charity staff of which the organization have claimed the timely filed notice on the before the day of the IRS informs the public throughout such means the publication internal revenue bulletin that such reliance has expired. However, the grantor, contributor, distributor requires acknowledgement that the IRS has notified the community the trust that has failed to establish the public charity. The reliance for the claim status expires at the time such knowledge is required. Or Section 509A2 organization. Section 509A2 excludes certain type of the broadly based for the publicly supported organization, private foundation staff. Generally, an organization described in Section 509A2 may also description of the publicly supported organization under Section 509A1. Therefore, however, the two basic differences for 509A2 for the organization term support include the items of support disclosed earlier the support and discussion of Section 509A organization. Income of the activity directly related with the exempt function, and this income includes the meeting of the support with the test publicly supported organization under Section 509A1. Section 509A2 places the total of the gross investment income in the unrelated business tax income in excess of the unrelated business tax. An organization may have the Section 509A1 doesn't. To be excluded with the private foundation treatment under Section 509A2, the organization must meet the two support tests. One, the one-third support test, and not more than one-third support test. No more than one third support test. Alright, both these tests are designed to ensure the organization excludes the private foundation treatment that represent responsible to the general public rather than private interest, the limited number of the donors or other persons. One-third support test. One-third support test will meet the organization normally receive more than one-third of the support each for the tax year with the aim for the combination, gift, grants, contribution, membership and fees, the gross receipt of the mission, sale of merchandise, performance, services, furnishing, facility, any activity that isn't unrelated to trade, business, subject to the certain job, certain limits discussed below the limit of the gross receipts for later. For purposes of support, must be with the permitted source include the Section 509A organization described earlier, government units described in Section 509A of the organization earlier, and person other than disqualified person defined in Section 509A3 organized later. Limited gross recipient, computing the amount of the support received with the gross recipient unto and above the gross receipt with unrelated is related to activities received and any person at any of the bureau of similar agency, the government unit includable in any tax year of the only extent with the gross receipt with an area aren't more than greater than 5,000 or 1% of the organization's total support in the year. Alright, not more than one-third support test. This will be met if the organization normally receives no more than one-third of the support in each of the tax year of the total year, or over the gross investment income, the excess of unrelated business tax income of the unrelated trades, business acquired after June 30th, 1975, over the tax imposed on the income, the gross investment income, the gross investment income means the gross amount of the income from the interest of dividends payments, the respect for the security loans, the rental, the royalties does not include any income that would include the computing tax on related business income of the trade and business definition. Normally, both support and tests are computed on the basis of the nature of the organization. Normal source of the support organization will be considered to have normally both tests and current tax year or the tax year immediately following that meets those tests are based on the total support received of the current year of tax year and 4 tax years immediately before the current tax year. Computation period of public support. If at the time of applying with the tax exempt, the organization can reasonably be expected to meet more than one-third of the support test, no more than one-third support test during the first facts type tax years. The organization qualified for the classification public charity under Section 509A2 for the first 5 years beginning with the organization's 6th tax year. The organization will describe in Section 509A2 with a one-third support test and no more than one-third support test in the 6th year based on the support received for the second through the 6th tax year or carry over the 5th tax year based on the support received and through the first 5 tax years. Organization required in like form of the 990 EZ. It may be established made to the one-third of the support tests, no more than one-third support tests each for the Schedule A form 990 EZ. Responsible explanation public support. An organization that can reasonably expect to meet one-third of the support test, no more than one-third support test, understand the Section 509A2 during the first 5 years tax years. One of they can show the organizational structure and current of the proposed program, activity, the actual intent of the method of the operation reasonably be expected to attract the type of the broad-based support for the general public charity, the government unit that is necessary to meet these the facts that are relevant. Determination of the weight accorded with each of the facts that may differ from the case to case. The organization can't reasonably expect to meet one-third of the support test, no more than one-third support test when the facts indicate that the organization likely during the first 5 tax years received less than one-third support and is for the permitted surface to receive more than one-third support for the gross investment income, the unrelated business tax income. All pertinent facts, circumstances, tax account will determine whether the organizational structure, program, activities, method of operation of the organization will give the organization responsible exemption for that will meet the support test. Some of the pertinent factors considered are whether the organization has the will of the governing body of the person, have the special knowledge of the person, particular field of the organization, operating with the community leaders such as the elected officials, members of clergy, educators in the case of the membering organization, with individual lecturers, elected organization under the organization governing the instrument bylaw of the broadly based membership. Whether a substantial part of the organization initial funds are provided by the general public charity to government grants rather than limited number of the grantors contributed, whether it will disqualify with respect to the organization. Whether a substantial portion of the organization initial funds are placed with all the remaining endowment, whether the investment of those funds are unlikely to result in more than one-third of the total support being received with the gross investment. income from the unrelated business tax income expense excess for the tax imposed on the other income, whether the organization carries the fundraising activity developed in specific funds, solicitation funds for the community area-wide basis. Whether an organization carries the community service activity specific of the program to carry out the works for the community, whether the membership that does an individual, rather institution member of the organization carries the education of the other exempt activity on the behalf of the members that are fixed the rate for the designed to make the membership available to the broad section of the public rather than restrict membership to limited the number of the persons. And whether an organization provides good service to the facility and whether it will be required to make the service of the facility perform its product available regardless whether the fees are charged to the general public charities, the government, and on units until rather than limited number of the person in the organization. Alright, unusual grants. Unusual grants may be exploited with support, test, competition. Would attract the public to support the nature of the organization. The unusual expected amount, the word would could be covered the side, but adversely affect the staff of the organization, normally meeting with one-third support test. The organization must otherwise meet the test for the year without benefit of the contribution. A grant or contribution. Characteristics of unusual grant. A grant contribution will consider an unusual grant if the above three factors apply with how the following characteristics with the fees factors. If the characteristics apply with then, even though the benefit of advancing the rule grant or contribution have the terms that wouldn't be considered responsible for the act resulting in an organization chain of the support. The grant contribution is made by the person of the related person created with the organization substantial for the contributor with the organization before the grant is contribution. The grant contribution is made by the person or related person who is in possession of authority such as foundation manager while other with the liability to exercise the control over the organization. Similar grant contributions are not made with the person related person who is personally because of the grant contribution obtained the position of authority to apply the ability to otherwise exercise control over the organization. Through the grant contribution in the form of the cash readily marketable security of this asset to directly further the organization's then purpose such as the gift and painting of the museum done by the donor of the organization received the limit either the advance the final ruling determination letters classifying the public as support of the organization exempt from the organization or operating under the advance ruling of determination letter of the organization actively engaged in a program activity to furtherance of the exempt purpose. No material restriction from the condition have been imposed with the grant or contribution upon the organization connection with the grant contribution. If the grant contribution is intended for the operating of the expense rather than the capital the terms amount of the grant of the contribution expressed limited to one of the year's expenses. Determination request. If there is any doubt of the grant contribution the exclusion for the unusual the grant organization can request the determination submitted with the Form 8940 with the supporting document describing the instruction of the Form 8940 with the appropriate user fee. The IRS has the sole discretion in issuing the determination favorable to the determination issued with the bank be relied for the grant of contribution purpose of charitable contribution deduction by organization purpose of exclusion of the usual grant. The additional characteristics listed above the following factors considered by the IRS determining whether the grant contribution is unusual grant. Whether the contribution was requested to transfer a living, the requesting ordinarily may be given the favorable consideration transfer while living. Whether the beginning of the contribution for the organization carried out actual program publication, solicitation, exempt activities, as well as be able to attract significant amount of public support. Whether the organization may responsibly expect to attract significant amount of public support with the contribution from continued reliance upon unusual grant of the funding organization current operation expense, but can be evidence for the organization can attract the future support of the general public. Whether the organization with a one-third support in the test passed without the benefit of the exclusion of the unusual grant. Whether the organization has a representative of the governing body. Skipping example 1 and 2. Moving on to gift contribution grants and distinguished gross receipts. In determining whether the organization normally receives more than one-third of the support permitting source, including all the gifts and grants for the received for the permitted source for the enumerated support fraction, each of the tax value with the gross receipt for the mission with the sales of the merchandise performance, service of furnishing of the facility activity is an unrelated trade of the business and includable in the numerator of the support fraction in the tax year for the extent of the amount of the received the person remaining with the bureau or similar agent for the government unit errant more than one greater than 5,000 or 1% of the support. Alright, ruling of the determination public support staff. The organization may request the ruling determination letter described in Section 509A. The request made on the form, the 1023, such other time organization will leave a description 509A2. The IRS may revoke the Section 509A92. The determination letter upon examination organization have not requirement that the IRS may also revoke the Section 509A2. The ruling determination letter organization application ruling determination contained with the material statement of the fact. Well, as to the grantors and contributors, the grant and contributor may rely on the determination ruling letter or organization described in Section 509A2 and for the charge of the staff of the organization made with the public, such as the publication of internal revenue bulletin exemption organization select chart check with either within G search and the IRS Gov. The revision procurement 2011-33 exempt an organization select check if it's unavailable to select check that when apply with the grant contributor with the responsible for aware of the act of the failure of the act is the result of the organization loss of classification publicly supported its organization. Alright, gifts and contribution. Any payment of the money transfer without adequate consideration. Gift the contribution payment is made with the property transfer, the consideration, mission, sales, merchandise, performance, service, the furnishing facility for the donor status of the payment, the transfer under the Section 170C determines whether and with what extent of the payment, the transfer, the gift of the contribution, the distinct with the gross receipt related activities amount include computing support with the gift grants for the contribution property, the use of the property with the fair market, the value of the property, the day of the gift of the contribution. Example, skip. Grants are often certain terms of the condition imposed with the grantor, because of the imposition of the term of the condition frequently similar of the public purpose of the grantor and the grantee, with the possibility of the benefit of the grantor of the amount of the received of the grant, the carrying without the exempt the activities, sometimes the difficulty of extinguishing the amount of the received, the gross received, the carrying on the exempt the activities, and distinguishing the term of the gross received, the term of the grant, the term of gross receipt, that means the amount of the received of the activity is unrelated to trade, business, a specific service, facility, product, with the provided with the direct and immediate need for the payer of the payer rather than primarily confer with the direct benefit to the general public, and general payments made with the primarily enable the payer to realize the receive of such economically physical benefit the result of the service facility production obtained with the treated as gross receipt of the payee. For example, the profit-making organization preliminary on the benefit betterment contract with the non-profit organization serving that from that organization a payment received with the non-profit organization, whether the profit-making organization from any of the non-profit for similar service the primary with the benefit the payer, therefore the gross receipts rather than grants. Research leading the development of the tangible product used for the benefit of the payer of the general of the treaty, the service provided with the service, the direct for the immediate need for the payer of the research that's carried on the physical social science generally be treated the primarily confer of the direct benefit upon the general public. Medicare and Medicaid payments are growth received the exercise performance of the exempt function and individual patient, not government unit actual control for the ultimate receipt of these payments. Therefore, the Medicare and Medicaid proceeds of the services provided that each of the payments are included with the gross receipt to the extent that they aren't more than greater than $5,000, 1% of the organization to support the tax year. Membership fees and distinguished gross receipt. The fact that the membership of the organization provides the service administration facility merchandise and of its members as part of the overall activities one itself the result of the classification fee of the fees received for the members as gross receipt the subject to $5,000, $1,000 limit, 1% limit rather than membership of the fee. However, the organization used the membership of the fees as means of selling admission, merchandise, services, and use facility membership members of the general public who have no common legal goal for the interest otherwise desire to buy admission of the merchandise, service, and use facility. These aren't membership but are growth of recipient receipts. On the other hand, the extent of the basic purpose of the payment is provided support for the organization rather than buying admission, merchandise, service, the use for the facility payment is membership fee. Alright, Bureau defined. The term Bureau, similar agent of the government unit determining the amount of the subject 5,000 to 1% of the limit of the means specialized operating unit of the executive, judicial, legislative branch of the government in which the business is conducted under certain rules and regulations. Since the term of the Bureau referred to the unit functioning with the operation of the distinct policy and level of the government normally means the subdivision of the use of a department of the government. The term wouldn't usually include those levels of the government that basically policy making administrative such as the office of the secretary, assistant secretary, department, but would consist of the highest operational level under the policy making the administrative levels. Amounts received on the unit functioning at the policy making the administrative level of the government and treated with the received with the one bureau, similar agent of the units of a government agency operating above agency above the operating level combined considered a separate bureau for the purpose of the organization that houses the gross receipt of both policy making or administrative unit of the operational unit of the department will be treated with having the gross receipt with the two bureaus for the purpose of the Department of Air Force, the Army, and the Navy are separate departments. Each has its own policy-making administrative operating units. Example, the 1 and 2, grants for public charity. For the purpose of one-third support test grants received with Section 509A1, the organization public charity would generally include the full computing of the numerator of the support fraction of the tax year. However, the amount received the considered indirect contribution for one of the public charity donors will retain the characteristics of the contribution for the donor and if and of Example: the donor substantial contributor that upon the ultimate receipt of the amount is excluded for the donor and support fraction of the public charity must makes both the indirect contribution of the donor for the additional grant for the ultimate receipt of the indirect contribution from the treaty with the man is made first. A direct contribution of one of the expressly implied then embarked on the donor and beginning on the benefit of the particular recipient rather than particular purpose. Method of accounting. Organization supporting determining under the same accounting method that you for the keeping of books, otherwise you for the report form 990 EZ, the required to file with the 990 EZ. For example, the grantor makes the grant for the organization payable over the 10 term of the years. The grant will includable for the support fraction of the grant organization under the accounting method regularly used and keeping the method of books. Alright, gross receipts and related activities. When charitable purpose, the organization describes 501c3 of the accomplished for the furnishing facility of the rental fee of the loan for the particular class of the person, such as the age 60 and 80 person with support received through the person will be considered with the gross recipient related with exempt activity rather than gross investment income of the unrelated business, the tax exempt income. However, the organization also furnished the faculty loans and are member of the particular class for the furnishing of the faculty's funds if it does and contributed important to the accomplishing the organization exempt the purpose for the support received for the furnishing of the faculty fund will be considered rent or interest will be treated with the gross investment income and unrelated business tax income. Alright, Section 509A3 Organizations.